Hi guys, thanks for clicking onto In the Stands. Hope you're well. Jamie, before we get into the episode,
Yes.
what do you think people should listen out for on today's episode?
Well, you should listen out for our opinions on Phil Foden. Will he be the next top star? Many different transfer rumours, including Messi to Southampton. Who knows?
Yeah, a particular strange comment from Mikey there, but is there a more realistic target that you can tell us about, Mikey?
No, I think Messi to Southampton is pretty much the eye we can get. It's
Okay, and Harry, any other final things that people should look out for on this episode?
I think just listen until Mikey says that, to be honest with you, because I switched off when Mikey said that, so you're more than welcome to when you hear Mikey say that as well.
This
Okay,
is a very
well,
good podcast, apart from my comments, as a Harry saying it.
Okay,
So
without
it
any
was
further
very
ado,
good. It was a lot of fun.
yes, yeah. Okay, so we're going to have a listen to it now. Have a listen. Hi guys, welcome back to the Daily Roundup. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying the football that's going on. There was only one game today, but still plenty to talk about, so we can go through it, as well as plenty of other things to go through as well. So yeah, it's my normal co-host, so I'm with Jamie. How are you doing, Jamie?
I'm good. I watched the whole game all the way through, so I'm
Nice,
ready
very good.
with all the knowledge.
Totally prepared. Harry, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing well. It's been a nice day here in Southampton, so it's been good. It's been good, and a goal frenzy game as well today.
Yeah,
so it's a lot to
Do you
talk about.
enjoy the game as well, Mikey?
yeah. I mean, it didn't go as I was expecting, but I thought Burnley would be a little bit more compact, but that didn't happen.
So where do you think it? Well, we can go straight into it. Where do you think they did fall down today, and the fact that they did end up picking 5 out the back of their net?
Match fitness, the fact that I mean, it's a very tough game to come back. You haven't played a game and then you've got to play Man City. Like, it's a very tough game, and they just got outclassed today. They just got completely outclassed. And they just seemed slow and off it. And you can't really be slow and off it if you're going to be playing against City, because they've got world-class players that will just rip you to shreds like they have done tonight.
Yeah, fair enough. Phil Foden came out in the media after the game and said that it's his best game that he's played in a City shirt and still learning every day. Would you agree with that statement, Harry, that is the best game that Foden's had in the City shirt?
I think his best 90 minutes. I think his best moment overall was his goal against Tottenham in the back end of last season to help secure Manchester City the title. But he sort of dictated the game, and he hasn't had that sort of dominance over a 90-minute period for Manchester City. He got 2 goals to round that off, plus a really nice key pass in David Silva's goal as well. So yeah. I've got to say I agree with him.
Very cheeky with the no-look pass to put it through, which I thought was a particular highlight. Jamie, a lot of people have been talking about the start of a rebuild that Man City are going to do, because obviously Pep's now been managing for 3 years, I believe, with City, and there are going to be players that are going to leave. Sane's been rumoured with leaving. Silva's going to leave at the end of the season. Is Phil Foden a player that's going to be built around in this new rebuild that we could see with Man City?
Well, as a England football fan, I'd love to see him get more regular to football, and I think it's perfect time for him with David Silva's contract coming to end at the end of the season. However, they did come out in his post-match conference saying he wanted him to extend his contract, as he's a great guy and he learns a lot from him. However, I don't believe that will happen. So I would love to see him take that vital position in the midfield, as this summer can be really vital for Man City if the Champions League ban is confirmed. Who knows what will happen with this squad? And it may need a whole reshuffle.
Yeah, fair play. I'm just looking at it and kind of looking at the stats that happened. It seemed like Man City were just dominant from the off and never really let up. I mean, Mahrez, who's been struggling to try and not hold down a first-team place, but he's kind of been in and out, and he's got obviously a penalty and a really well-worked goal as well. Is there a chance that Mahrez could come into, especially with Sane leaving as well, could Mahrez hold down a first-team spot, do you reckon, in the coming future?
I can easily see it happen. He showed his class today, especially. And they can make it, I'd say Burnley's a decent side, so he's not scoring 2 past any team that are easy, to be honest with you. Like I said, with lots of players departing this summer, I think him and Foden can really fulfil that potential that they had, even though obviously Riyad Mahrez has shown his class before. But yeah, I think he does get frustrated with his playing time, and they could see that being added a lot more minutes next season.
Yeah. I'll open this up to the rest of the boys. Because obviously we said that, I think Mikey mentioned that he thought the Man City outclassed Burnley, but Is there warning signs for the Burnley performance today? Was it a brilliant City performance, or is there things that Burnley obviously need to try and pick up from in the next coming games?
It was a good City performance. However, it got helped a lot by Burnley and the fact that they just did give them space. You saw, I think Carragher was saying it a lot on the commentary, that Burnley played, they were just dropping back and dropping back and dropping back and letting City have the space to create the chances that they did. It could be a worrying sign. However, again, it is City. So, if they go out and don't win their next game, that could be a problem. But I think they're 11th, aren't they?
39 points.
Yeah, so they should be fine, even with.
I think they're safe for this season, but I would be concerned if I was a Burnley fan for next season, because the mood around the club's just, it's not what it was. It's not what it was a few years ago, because there's no progression. You saw today they named 7 substitutes when you're allowed to name 9. I think they had 2 or 3 senior players on the bench. Chris Wood was out. Barnes was out. I'll look at the other players. I think Hendrick, Lennon, Barsley, Hart, all out of contract. That's why they didn't make the bench either. I think there's a level of frustration as well that no money's really being spent in Burnley's favour. You saw Ben Gibson, I think that's their record transfer, and he's played, 2-3 times since he's arrived. There's just something not quite right about Burnley at the moment. They didn't approach the game. It might be harsh saying they didn't approach the game in the right way. If I look at the statistics, they've had 1 shot today, not on target, and that was a Dwight McNeil free kick. So they allowed them to have too much space because they didn't want to concede too many. They concede 5 anyway. So I just think overall it's just a day to get to Burnley, and I think they've got Watford up next. So that's a game they can really bounce back on. Do I think they will? Well, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to find out if I can get any, not official confirmation, but if someone has actually worked it out. But obviously, Liverpool had keen eyes on today to see how Man City were doing. Obviously, it opens up an opportunity with Liverpool trying to push to try and wrap the league up. But I believe they can't win it if they win at Crystal Palace. They need, I think
they need Chelsea to get a result against City. City need to drop points, and then Liverpool need to beat Palace, and that's how they'll win the title.
But correct me if I'm wrong.
I think they would go to Palace, Liverpool. Not Palace. Then they'll go to Man City, Liverpool game. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So could we see Man City, Liverpool to be able to win the league? Because that will be probably one of the games of the season, I reckon, if it does fall down to that. Because that's the final chance for Man City to be able to do anything, isn't it? Really. So. It'd be what a game that would be. But yeah, we'll see what happens there, I guess. Any other things to mention about the City Burnley game? Because it did seem a very, very comfortable one for City, and just look like they have got no signs of letting up. Anything else that kind of jumped out at you when you were watching that game, guys?
I know we talked about Burnley's safety, but I've just looked at the league table. They're 11 points clear of Bournemouth. If one of the bottom 3 can get a good run going and Burnley keeps going the way they're going, they could be down there and battling where they've looked like they've been safe for the entire season. Yeah,
that could be very interesting. Do you see them being pulled down into Harry, or do you reckon they've put a couple too many points up to be able to be in danger?
I think their early season form will make sure that they're okay, because I think they're on 39 points now. I think teams normally get relegated about the 36, 37 point mark. So I think that's okay. I think they're okay for this season. But next season, if Shaun Dyche doesn't get the players that he wants, he might leave. Some of their key players might leave, like Dwight McNeil's a wanted man. He's still quite young. James Tarkowski, Ben Mee didn't have a very good performance today, but he's still a very good centre-back. They've got players in that squad that are wanted by some of the top 12, 13 teams, or at least teams that have shown more ambition than Burnley. I know Burnley have got had European football, but it might sound harsh, but I think that was a bit of a fluke, and I don't think that's going to happen again. So if I was them, I'd be concerned going into the 2020-21 season.
Yeah, and I know Dyche speaks often about the fact that he's got to try and motivate his players to look for that next target. But Jamie, how do you think they actually... can you see Burnley being stuck in a bit of a rut for just going for mid-table every season? How do you continue to get those players motivated?
Well, it depends if they have any players left, Ollie, after all these players get out of contract, really.
Yeah.
So, especially being a player at Burnley and seeing all these players going out of contract, I think you'd be a bit worried what will happen next season. They can't afford to keep these players on the contracts. Who are they able to afford to keep in and bring back into the club? And if that, like Harry said, if they don't get the players in, you could easily see him going down.
I think COVID is quite... Oh, sorry, there you go.
You look at clubs like Stoke and Swansea, where they've been a steady club in the Premier League. Stoke recorded 3 ninth place finishes before they got relegated. There's only a certain point where you can keep playing and thinking, we're not getting Europe, we're not progressing, we're not doing this, not doing that, and you will find yourself, if you don't have the right manager or the right motivation, you will find yourself in that bottom three. And that's the worry of a lot of, like Palace a couple of years back when Roy Hodgson took over. They were in the bottom three because they had nothing to play for. Southampton was the same thing as well, but there was no progression there. So drop down the league, it can happen. So it might be a worry for next season.
Okay. Jamie was mentioning about the contract saga in at Burnley, and it seems like a lot of them are either being left or not being extended. One thing that I found quite interesting, poring over the back pages to see some of the transfer rumours. Apparently, I'll see if I can pull it up. Here we go. Yeah, the Express are reporting that Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta could consider a free transfer move for 33-year-old keeper Joe Hart, who will be released from Burnley at the end of the month after Bernard Leno suffered an injury against Brighton. So could you see Joe Hart going to Arsenal? I mean, I think he would be more than happy to go there, but do you think he could try and, reinstate his career there?
Would they be able to play... If they got signed on after 1st June, would they be able to play this season?
If they don't have a contract obligation, I don't know.
There's a rule where you're not allowed to play for more than 2 clubs. So as long as that player hasn't been out on loan or made a transfer already, then yes, they should be able to play.
Yeah, I think so.
With the Joe Hart move to Arsenal, it makes sense because you're thinking what they want is, I know they're probably not going to get European football this year, but what the top 6 want is a 3rd choice goalkeeper who is homegrown. They can use them in those rules and then not pay him too much. Joe Hart's perfect situation. You look at Scott Carson, Lee Camp, these goalkeepers that have gone to top 6 clubs, not on a lot of money, and they just sit there and they're there for European competitions. Yeah. So I think it makes sense for the Joe Hart one. They've been linked with Forster as well from Southampton. So these goalkeepers are just sort of going to be sitting there for the next 2-3 seasons and getting paid to do nothing.
The thing is, I think that Joe Hart's more ambitious than that. Like, I know he's had a few bad seasons and he may be demotivated because he's been 1st choice keeper at West Ham, dropped. 1st choice keeper at Burnley, dropped. But because of his sort of personality type, I can see him moving either to a very dangerous relegation battling size from next season or a high championship club, mid-table championship club, because I just can't see him as a person that's happy just to pick up the wage. I might be wrong. I don't know Joe Hart personally, but just from the aura that he gives off, that he's not happy just to sit around, chill and get the paycheck, I think he'll look for a better move. And to be fair, if the Leno injury is more serious than first thought, and he gets both the end of the season and the start of next season because it's very close together, then I think that's a perfectly fine move to get him on a 12-month contract. But anything more than that, because Leno, when he comes back, he will be the starter unless Joe Hart has a ridiculously fantastic season and sorted out his issue at diving to his left. Leno's coming straight back in. So for me, I think Joe Hart will that probably won't happen, but you never know.
Yeah.
The problem is though, is he's 33 and he's made 3 appearances this year, 1 in the League Cup, 2 in the FA Cup. Like, you're thinking he's coming towards the end of his career. He's probably not going to be looked at as a 1st choice goalkeeper, unless it is for like a high championship club for 1 season. You might as well just make a move to a sort of top 6 club, end your career there, and make as much money as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Things I don't think he's the sort of person where I don't think he'd want his career to end and people to think about the back end rather than his prime. Because I think what's happened to a lot of goalkeepers, like you said a couple of episodes ago, that a lot of them have been looked at in a very bad way, as in they've made mistakes, this, that, and the other, And I don't think Joe Hart wants to end his career being that goalkeeper that got chucked out by Pep and couldn't recover since. I think for him and him only, because let's be honest, goalkeepers can survive in football for a very long time. So if he's 33, I can see him going to 38, 39. So that's still another 6 seasons, whatever level. At least I think he wants to end his career in a respectable way, saying he was a first choice goalkeeper at a decent club and he was loved by those fans. And I think there's plenty of opportunity for him to still do that, despite the fact he's 33.
From Arsenal ins to Arsenal outs, I've reading here that apparently Fenerbahce are planning a fundraising campaign along with their fans to try and sign former Germany player Mesut Ozil from Arsenal. So it seems like they're trying to get the money in to see if they can try and pay somewhat some of Ozil's wages. I really don't see, because how many years has Ozil got left on his contract?
He's got one, I believe, and he's on £350,000 a week because Arsenal were desperate and slapped him a massive contract and haven't really played him since. And I think I heard a couple of days ago that he's happy on his contract as well and isn't really willing to. And to be fair, like you said, I don't blame him on £350,000 a week. And also with that fundraiser, how much do they think they're going to get from that fundraiser if they're going to be paying him £1 million every 3 weeks or something ridiculous like that? So I think he'll stay.
It is crazy, isn't it, to see how much money he is actually on. But I think the only other option they have is just for that contract to wait, because there is no one on the performance that he's giving are going to give that contract, are they? So unless they pay like 200k of his wages to offload him, it's still not worth it. So you might as well just keep him, just in case he has a turn of heart. But he's just going to sit on the bench and collect his money, isn't he? He hasn't really. Is that a shame to see a player of that quality just sit and collect his earnings and not trying to prove himself?
Well, Ollie, I'm sorry, Aaron, but realistically, can you say last 2-3 years has he really been that amazing to earn that amount of money? This season, obviously, and the season before, I would say he's not justified that at all. A bit like Alex, I don't compare him to Alexis Sanchez at all. However, you did see a quality player in that Arsenal squad has gone to nothing again. With those high wages, is it really justified anywhere?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that if Arsenal are paying that and it doesn't look like he's going to move on anytime soon, I was just saying that it is quite disappointing to see a player of that quality who was doing that well to suddenly just sit and take the money. And obviously when it's so that extreme and the manager's paid no interest in you, you can see what he's doing. But I'm just saying that this is a player who's been in Europe, who's been quality for them at points, and now it seems like if he goes, he's not going to go to that sort of quality because he hasn't been playing well. For me personally, I think it's quite disappointing to see a player like that fall off. But
it's disappointing. But do you think it's his fault? Because
no.
you look at how the Arsenal squad is a little bit of a mess. You see Aubameyang, who's a poacher striker, is playing out on the left-hand side. They're not playing an attacking midfielder at the moment. Like, there is no role for him. Wenger was playing him out on the wing, wasn't he, when he first signed? But I don't think it's necessarily his fault because he's been playing out of position and then he's not being picked. Like, you can't change your performances if you're not being picked. It seems like he didn't even make the 10-man bench, did he?
No.
First game back against Man City. And you're thinking, if you want any player to try and unlock Man City, it's Mesut Ozil. So why aren't you playing him?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think it's just because he had a disagreement with a couple of managers, but that's not his fault. And I know social media is not a lot of things to go by, but he seems happy to be an Arsenal player. I think if you call on him, he'll do his best job possible. And I think people know that he's a luxury player. He's not someone that's going to give you 15 kilometres a game. So I think if I was Arsenal and I've lost 2 back-to-back games, I'd just chuck him in the first 11 next game, put him in the middle and see what happens because they've got nothing to lose at this point.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm having a look around the rest of the league. Really can't. This is the problem with us doing it late night. I cannot speak. It's really bad. Apparently Liverpool.
Premier League. See if they can rearrange the games to earlier in the day.
I'll get on the phone.
That's a good shout, actually.
For some reason, they don't answer my calls. It's strange.
I'll ask you a call.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Apparently, Liverpool have made a £54 million bid for Koulibaly. The 29-year-old is interested in joining Man United and Chelsea as well. Do Liverpool need another world-class centre-back, or is that overkill at this point?
I'd be upset to see Joe Gomez's development be halted.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think Liverpool. I mean, if Liverpool sign Koulibaly, that's not fair. But also in the fact that they didn't spend 45 million on Timo Werner because of financial reasons. So I don't see him going out and spending 50 million on Koulibaly. It doesn't make sense. United would make more sense because they definitely need another centre back just to try and strengthen. And I think Koulibaly's been linked with them for like the last 4 or 5 seasons, hasn't he? It's just about trying to get it over the line. But these rumours always pop up like towards the end of the season of Koulibaly going to one of the top 6. And all these players like that, and it never happens. So,
well, like you say, at the age of 29, they're a bit too late to go to United if they're all on about having a massive rebuild. So 29 is too old for a United player? A £50 million move?
United want results now. They want to be a top 4 club. They want to be challenging for the league. And Koulibaly's probably got another 3-4 years left in him. And by that point, there'll be another centre-back that United will hopefully have signed to be able to keep that development. And I think United, they don't need to save money. They're the biggest club in the world. They're the richest club in the world. So they can just spend £50 million on Koulibaly and then a couple of years later release him on a fee. And it doesn't really matter to them. So I think Koulibaly would be a good move for United.
Talked about Chelsea were interested in that in Koulibaly as well. They've also expressed their interest into PSG's left back. Is it Kazuwa?
Kazawa. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, I don't know how he went for that one. The 27-year-old, maybe their backup choice if they don't land Chilwell. Is that because it looks like they're clearly trying? Like if they've got backups for obviously Chilwell is their number one, and they've already got a backup. Who do you reckon would be the best fit for them at left back? Is it still Chilwell? Obviously, he scored a brilliant goal against Watford earlier in the week. Do you reckon the French international could do a better job at left back for Chelsea?
No, I think Chilwell is that option. Kazawa's been linked heavily with Arsenal, and that is such an Arsenal signing to sign an ageing left back that doesn't really offer that much long term. So for me, I can't see Chelsea going for him because they've already got Emerson, they've already got Marcus Alonso, who are 2 bang average left backs to start with. They don't need a 3rd bang average left back, whereas Chilwell's got the potential despite the fact he's got a high price. So I can't. That's another one I can't really see happening. It's just because it'll be for a free transfer.
There we go. That might be what it is. Quick little trip over to Spain. Barcelona have been linked with Inter Milan striker Lautaro Martinez. 22-year-old has been linked with Barcelona, but the chief executive has basically said he hasn't expressed a desire to leave. But if you're a 22-year-old at Barcelona come knocking, you've got to go, haven't you, right? Like I know he's a brilliant player, but I don't think Inter are going to hold on to him if Barcelona come in.
To be fair, it's whether he can push out Martin Braithwaite. I'm not too sure. With an ageing Suarez, you've got to think Barcelona are trying to look to get a different striker. And Lautaro Martinez is probably one of the hottest properties in Europe at the moment. So it makes sense. They probably would have to spend a lot on him. And the sale of like Ousmane Dembele and players like that might aid that money coming, that money being spent on Lautaro as well. But yeah, it does make sense for Martinez to go to Barca.
And I'm reading here as well that apparently Barcelona have opened negotiations for Messi to have a 2-year contract, who's going to be 35. Well, no, he's going to be 33 by Wednesday, so he's going to be 35, 36 near the end of his deal. It looks like it may be the last contract that Messi's on, so it'd be interesting to see how they play it, because I was reading that Barcelona have the highest wage to turnover ratio because all these players they've got are on such high contracts. And I think because Barcelona were obviously a dominant force when they had their youth players in the side, and I think they have tried to buy their quality rather than bring them through the youth system. Is there a chance, do you reckon, we could see those youth players trying to be reintroduced with how high these wages are? Like, do you think they need to pull it back a little bit with how much they're spending?
Well, they've got a couple of good ones coming through, haven't they? You look at Ansu Fati, he's been scoring goals, and he's like 17, 18, isn't he?
Yeah.
They've also got another one, Mariblia. I don't know, it's Spanish.
Something like that.
Coming through as well, and he's a good little player too. So, I mean, with the Barca Academy, you're always going to get good players coming through, whether they make it or not. It's just about Barca giving them that chance. And the problem is with the modern game is you get so much quality. Like at the top level, you need quality all over the pitch to be successful.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to blood in a youth player that may not have that sort of quality, then you're going to be dropped behind, especially with how competitive La Liga is, with the Real Madrids and Atletico Madrids and all that up there. It's tough bringing in youth players, especially at the highest level, if they're not good enough to go straight into the first team.
Yeah, fair enough. You boys, how do you feel about Barcelona's recent tactics? Because they haven't been the dominating force in Europe. Do they need to go back to their old ways of bringing in those youth players, or do you agree with Mikey that it's becoming increasingly difficult to try and bring those players through?
People only realise that they've not got monetary problems, but there's a slight issue because of the pandemic. I think they had to give all their players, or they forced upon like a 70% wage referral reduction because they couldn't afford it. And I think it's the first time that they're going to give a sponsorship to the new camp, because otherwise they're not going to go bust. But they were in a bit of a problem, whereas I don't really think they need to. They're still dominant in the league, and despite the fact that Real Madrid are making ground this season. And let's be honest, they've not been far off the Champions League. They've got unlucky and sort of bottled it in the last 2 or 3 years. So I think it's just a bit of a poor patch in Europe, but in domestic football, they're still as dominant as always. So I don't think they need to. It's always good to see, but normally they'll be able to get players in their prime, use them in their prime, and then sell them off. Even though it's for pennies, they've got their use out of them. So I don't really think it's too much of a problem for a team that's got possibly a bottomless pit of money, just like Manchester United do.
The thing is, like the last thing on this, Messi's got 2 years. They're offering a 2-year extension in the UK. In 2 years' time, there's a little club on the south coast that might be doing quite well under their current Austrian manager. You know, Messi could be able to move across. You know, that would be a nice top 4.
If we ever had any shred of credibility, it's completely gone now. We are recording this, right?
We're going to try the advertising campaign to try and get Messi down on the south coast.
I don't. There's a flawless plan, to be honest. I prefer Martin.
We could do a Fenerbahce and start fundraising to try and afford Messi. We've got 2 years to do it, so why not?
West Ham will get him at the age of 47.
Or is there a better note to finish this today's episode on? There's a couple games tomorrow to look out for. We'll throw ahead to see what there is tomorrow. So there's Leicester, Brighton, Spurs, West Ham, both on Sky Sports, if you are interested. We can have a look at those tomorrow, so make sure you do join us tomorrow as we go through those games and have a talk about those. So if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe with that bell on. If you're on your podcast, make sure you've subscribed on whichever podcasting network you're on. So yeah, it's been me, Ollie, my normal co-hosts. Harry, say goodbye, Harry.
Goodbye.
Mikey, say goodbye as well.
Bye.
And Jamie, if you want to say goodbye as well.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next time.